Hi, everybody. It's Mark with Wisdom Gaming, otherwise known as Grecian Formula. Actually, this might be, in fact, will be the last time I call myself Grecian Formula. We're going to be moving on to Hothead Thundermouth after this. So today we've got a little bit of a rant, a little bit of a clarification here. So take a look at what I'm showing you first. You can see, when I put the pointer on, you can see that, right? So, Stephen Stewart, an old time associate from ASL times, pointed out to me I had made a mistake. Now, I have corrected the mistake. As you can see, I've respelled psychologically so it's more easy to pronounce and correctly spelled more or less. And Stewart actually doesn't spell his name like this, but I'm poking fun at myself, which is the reason I've got this hat on. There's somebody in the Axis Empires forum who says that only people who wear hats are able to make mistakes. So I thought I'd better at least put on a hat at least once in my life for this forum today. So that's what it's there for. Right. So that's the end of that part of the presentation. Let's move on to the rant. This is interlude number 2. And I've got a lot of tape or video I need to do for the next turns of Axis Empires, which it's been a busy week. I've had to create a lot of new material for these videos and buy some stuff, some costume related stuff. I'll put it on later. Not today, though. Um, and put up some new ideas, get some uh, new posters generated. So it took me some time. It's also been a busy week. I'm working on a big workshop for a number of teachers, the impact of artificial intelligence upon education in the coming years. So I've got that coming up here in mid-February. I need to make sure I'm prepared for that. That's just a professional thing. Then, uh, you know, other stuff that I'm doing just kind of snuck up on me. I didn't have time to do my usual play of Axis Empires to my regret, but I will get to it either today or Saturday and get some tape up there for you guys to see what's happening. So let me get into this rant. I don't want to make this too long. It's probably already going on too long, but this is just something I want to share with you. One of the things that I like to say is that I'm unscripted, unapologetic, uncensored, psychologically immune to social media scoring. I want all of you to feel psychologically immune to social media scoring and pressure from people who want you to feel obligated to behave certain ways. Um, you should be trusting your heart and follow what your heart tells you to do, not what some person in a forum tells you to do or something about you. You want to make sure the truth is spoken. And so that's what this is all about. So, unusually, I am a little bit scripted today because I had to write some stuff down. Now, let's get started on this forum baloney rant. Okay, the first one. So, I was in the chat room forum there for Axis Empires, and some guy had to say it. There's always somebody who's got to comment on the all caps myth. If you type all caps, it means that you're possibly insulting or shouting at someone. So, also, I just want to mention to you that uh, right now I'm going to put on these glasses. These glasses are to signal to people that I might be possibly, there might be some upcoming insults that your ego might interpret to be insulting. Um, just know that I do love the inner core of you. And that's why these green glasses are to show that I'm not so sure I care. In fact, I know I don't care if I insult your ego, but I do care about you inside. Okay. And the whole idea here is to free you from that, free you from your own myths, perhaps. Okay. So whenever there's a chance that I might insult somebody, I'm going to put these on. All right, here we go. Let's take them back off. All right. So this is the idea. Writing in caps is considered rude, yelling, and shouting. Okay, where did this come from? Well, first of all, caps and non-caps are a implement used to communicate clearly in English. We use caps at the start of a sentence and small case letters. It's been scientifically proven that it's actually harder to communicate in all caps. It's not as easy for people to read. That's why we shouldn't probably do it unless we're trying to make a point. So people were making points by putting stuff in caps to emphasize it. Maybe because back in 1984, when this all came up, the first onset of technocracy trying to tell us how to behave, somebody came up with the idea. There was actually a person in a chat room who sort of whined and said, "Oh, I might be insulting people if I shout all in caps. I feel like I'm shouting at them." So all of a sudden, the internet ran with this, or the internet at that time. And all of this got spread out. And then, I had assistants telling me, "No, don't you write all in caps. You're going to be insulting people." It's considered yelling. So all of this happened. It was from online news groups and bulletin boards around 1984. Somebody said, "It feels like I'm trying to yell if I do that." Capitalization of whole words gives the impression that you're shouting. Okay, so people started saying, well, there's other ways we can emphasize words. We don't have to put it all in caps, even though it's a particularly valid interpretation. The guy, whoever's using caps, is simply trying to emphasize a word. It's still true today. It doesn't mean when I do that that I'm shouting. In fact, it is impossible to shout or yell when you're typing letters. Okay? Sorry if you guys don't figure that out or haven't figured that out yet, but that's the case. All right. So there are other practices where caps are being used in full words. Happens in the educational industry where we put the last name of a person in full caps and the first name in small letters with a capitalized first letter to distinguish their first name from their surname. It's a very good way to do this because sometimes the names are not familiar to native English speakers, and we have to make sure that we get the last and first names correct. Okay, there's no shouting going on. There's another website, www.netmanners.com, that I did some research on. Uh, the article itself, if you look it up, I can post the link if you want to see it. This article indicates that the matter is still subjective because people don't really know if this is really a problem or not. And I'm going to tell you why they don't know if it's a problem or not. It's because they know it's not really a problem. All right? But they're just trying to find out who the rules mongers are out there who are going to be able to tell us how we're supposed to behave. And then they want to behave the correct way. All right. So, getting back to the whole point here. If you want to be psychologically immune to social media scoring and the idea that you need to behave a certain way, if you want to be like that and you want to be a wimpy, worm-tongued Winterberry person who follows these rules, well, make sure that you never use all caps. Just go ahead and do that. Okay. And the people who need to come into chat rooms, uh, somebody did it to me the other day. Be advised. Sorry, hold on. Please be advised that this could be very well interpreted by others that this is an insult or shouting. I don't care. All right. You can't care if you offend someone because someone is always going to find a way to suggest you are being hostile or unfriendly in a forum. Okay? And especially if you make a good point, they cannot otherwise refute. Notice this is a chat room tactic. When you've done something that's pretty majorly correct, this is one of the tactics that's used to dumb you down, to make you look like, well, you're smart, but you're not all that smart because you forgot you're not supposed to use all caps. You're not so brilliant. Okay, whatever. If that floats your boat, if that makes you feel like you're important by telling me that, you have succeeded. All right. So, um, look, You decide how you want to be, but I want to be immune from this kind of social media scoring tactic, so that's how I handle it. All right. So let's see. The second item here, got these printed out wrong here, so I got to move back and forth. Okay, the second item, this is sort of a minor item, but you're going to find this to be true. Designers and developers of games um, hate admitting when they've made a mistake. They really do, especially if it's something that impacts the look and feel of the game. So, and sometimes you will see them go to great lengths to cover it up. All right. I uncovered a reasonably serious but not fatal mistake uh, in Axis Empires. They printed limited range in every off map box and referred to a rule 3.3.2 in the Schiffskrieg rules. But if you read that rule, it says nothing with the words limited range. All right, so I questioned this. I said, where is this? This should be somewhere in the rules. So I got the usual, well, they didn't really want to admit that they hadn't actually done their job right. That's the way I look at it. As a customer, remember, I'm a customer here. Okay, I'm not anything more than that. And I'm complaining about the quality of a product here. All right, I wanted to understand what limited range means because it's not in the rules. So I got a hand waving argument that, oh, you didn't read the rules right. Just read the rules. It's in there, even though it's not there. That's what we meant. And then another designer pops in and says, oh, I didn't mean to confuse people. Well, we never do when we make a mistake, right? I didn't mean to confuse people when I misspelled psychologically. Do you think I meant to do that? But do you think it's right that I correct it? I think it's right that I correct it. Okay. So to be free of social media scoring, just remember if you're the customer is always right. And remind them of that because that's true. All right, last point. Okay, this is the forum one-upper chat room tactic. You see this all the time in chat rooms. And, I'm sure I played that game too. I won't say that my ego is immune from using this one-upmanship tactic. But, you know, uh, I don't understand this. Well, I do understand it. Okay. For example, let's say I go in and I make a point. Somebody asks a question about rules. I'm Johnny on the spot, and I answer the question because I know how to answer it correctly. All right. There is invariably, someone who comes in and has to support this. Somebody has to come in after me and engage as if they're more of an expert at the game than me and say something like, I can confirm that Mark is correct here. Well, gee, thank you for that. Thank you for coming in to create a false social hierarchy that we need you to back that up. Now, I don't think there's any harm intended here, but I'm just saying this is, hold on, I got fragile egos here. This is your ego coming in and trying to be more important than another ego. It doesn't do your ego any good except for a momentary flash of gratification. If you want to be free of social media scoring and actually free in your own mind, all right, you need to walk through the door, observe your ego in action, and don't become attached to it. Do not do what your ego tells you to do, but observe what your ego is trying to make you do. All right. So, another example, somebody comes in and, I made a point about this very issue, the limited range thing. And, I know this individual is well meaning, but, tries to blame me for observing a problem with the game. And that actually, when my observation was not such, but it was me getting tripped up. And I was tripped up because I didn't, uh, kind of take into context that this was probably a mistake and they put this thing in caps and really, I'm sure that that's, what happened here. And one of the designers pops in, I agree that Mark got tripped up and this shouldn't be like this. Okay, well, Gentlemen, I didn't get tripped up, all right? And don't try to pretend I was. There was no tripping up that went on here. But it's just another example of the quality of human individuals. And look, I am not unguilty of these behaviors. In fact, one way to look at it, one way Buddhists look at this is that because I have tried to one up others in the past, I'm getting subjected to one-upmanship on my side. So there you go. I got what I deserved. Fine. But that's not still an example of the way you need to be. All right. What I try to do when somebody answers the rule correctly, I don't need to say anything because it's already done. Maybe I'll give that guy a thumb if he looks like the kind of guy who returns thumbs. But there's guys out there who don't return thumbs, okay, because I don't know why. So they don't get thumbs then. All right. It's quid pro quo out there as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, my point is this: if you want to be psychologically immune to this sort of behavior, you can't let people do this to you. You have to speak up. You have to say, no, you're wrong. You are wrong. I wasn't tripped up. No, you're wrong. You did make a mistake. And stick to your guns. Now, this might not make you very popular. There might be some people who think you're being hostile because you don't agree with them. They might try to pretend that they actually responded to you when they actually responded to somebody else and that I should have known they were also talking to me. No, uh, they don't get away with that, and don't let them do it. My suggestion to you is you want to keep your mind free from these kinds of impacts. Speak the truth, say what's right, okay, and just do your absolute best to behave that way. All right, so in conclusion here, all right, all caps is not shouting every single time it's used. So ignore that. It's not true. Secondly, the customer is always right. If you don't understand that, read that again. The customer is always right. Third, form one-uppers. Recognize them for what they are, but more importantly, try not to do it yourself, and you'll be a lot happier. All right, people. I'm glad you listened to all that. If you did, thanks for listening. Subscribe and like to this for more stuff like this. I do a lot of gaming, but there's a lot of other topics too that I intend to bring up. Here's my new screen, Hothead Thundermouth. This is not a nickname I gave myself, but it's certainly appropriate, let me tell you. So I'm going to go with this. I hope you like the new look here. It's going to be called Gaming by Hothead Thundermouth in the future. Look forward to seeing more of you. If you like this, thank you. If you didn't, thanks for watching. Bye for now.